In 1814, Europe thought Napoleon Bonaparte was finished. He had abdicated. He was exiled to a tiny island called Elba. Kings celebrated. Empires relaxed. Peace, they believed, had finally returned to Europe. They were wrong, because less than a year later, Napoleon came back, and the entire continent went into panic. Napoleon Bonaparte, the man who reshaped Europe with sheer will, ambition, and war, had been defeated after years of relentless conflict. In April 1814, pressured by the Allied powers, Britain, Russia, Austria, and Prussia, he abdicated the French throne. He was sent into exile on Elba, an island in the Mediterranean. He was allowed a small personal guard, a modest residence, and the title Emperor of Elba. Many leaders believed this was enough. Napoleon, they assumed, was safely contained, but Europe underestimated him. While Napoleon watched events unfold from Elba, the new French king, Louis XVIII, returned to rule France. The Bourbon monarchy was restored, but the new regime was weak, unpopular, disconnected from ordinary soldiers and citizens who still remembered Napoleon's victories, reforms, and promise of glory. Meanwhile, the great powers of Europe gathered at the Congress of Vienna in 1814 to 1815, redrawing the map of Europe. They spoke of peace, but they also argued. They competed. They distrusted each other, and Napoleon was listening. By early 1815, rumors began spreading. Napoleon was planning something. On February 26, 1815, he escaped Elba. With around 1,000 loyal soldiers, he sailed toward France. If caught, he risked execution. But Napoleon gambled everything. On March 1, 1815, he landed at Gulf of Juan, near Cannes. From there, he began marching north toward Paris. He was not sneaking in quietly. He was announcing his return. Louis XVIII sent troops to stop him. French soldiers confronted Napoleon near Laffrey. Everyone expected a battle. Instead, Napoleon walked toward them, unarmed. He opened his coat and declared, "If any of you would shoot your emperor, here I am." They didn't shoot. Instead, they joined him. Army units kept switching sides. Generals who had been restored under the monarchy now returned to Napoleon's command. His legend was still alive. On March 20th, 1815, Napoleon entered Paris to cheering crowds. Louis XVIII fled. Napoleon was Emperor of France. Again. This period would be known as the 100 Days. But while France celebrated, Europe reacted with fear and fury. The leaders at Vienna were stunned. In an instant, their plans collapsed. Old rivalries disappeared. Every major power united again, against one man. On March 13th, 1815, the Seventh Coalition was formed. Britain, Prussia, Austria, Russia, and their allies. They declared Napoleon an outlaw. They would not negotiate. They would destroy him. Napoleon knew time was against him. He needed to act fast. He rebuilt his army. He reorganized command. He planned one decisive strike before the coalition could fully unite. In June 1815, Napoleon moved into Belgium. He hoped to defeat the British forces under the Duke of Wellington and the Prussian army under Gebhard Leberecht von Blücher before they could join together. On June 18, 1815, near a small Belgian village named Waterloo, the fate of Europe was decided. The Battle of Waterloo was brutal. French cavalry charges thundered across muddy fields. Infantry advanced under relentless musket and cannon fire. The British army held the lines. Napoleon fought fiercely, but the ground was soaked with rain, slowing movement and delaying attacks. By late afternoon, the Prussian army arrived on the battlefield. Napoleon was now outnumbered. Exhausted French troops could not hold. By evening, the French army broke. Waterloo was a devastating defeat. Napoleon returned to Paris, but the magic was gone. Political support collapsed. On June 22, 1815, Napoleon abdicated again. This time, Europe would not take chances. In October 1815, the British exiled him to St. Helena, a remote volcanic island in the South Atlantic Ocean, thousands of kilometers from Europe. There would be no escape this time. Napoleon spent his final years there, thinking, dictating memoirs, shaping how history would remember him. He died on May 5, 1821. When Napoleon returned from exile, Europe panicked, not just because of his army, but because of his influence, his legend, his ability to change history by simply appearing. His comeback lasted only 100 days, but it shook an entire continent and proved that sometimes one person's return is enough to terrify the world.